What's going on YouTube? It's Texans Takeover back in another video. In today's video, we have our divisional round mock draft. This is after Dante Moore just announced that he is not coming to the draft, so maybe Ty Simpson sneaks into the first somewhere. But yeah, it's just Fernando Mendoza as that number one guy. You can see the amount of teams I want to trade up to number one. Could the Jets just go all in for number one and do something like this? There's potential there, but you know, I think the Raiders are going to be content sticking and picking at number one. There's no QB2 in this class. It's going to be Ty Simpson, probably in the second round. No true number one guy besides Mendoza. And that's going to be the easy number one pick there for the Raiders. I think it's pretty much a no brainer what they're going to do. So Mendoza goes one, and now it's just, really up to the Jets to see what they want to do here. You have a plethora of first round picks. Um, and, a team that needs an edge rusher like the Commanders could be willing to move up. They just, in my opinion, don't have the draft capital. This is their third round pick here at 71. If you go to the Texans, you can see where their picks went in the Laramie Tunsil trade. 38 and 106 to the Texans. Could it be the Giants moving up potentially, trying to get their top receiver on the board? Could it be the Commanders make the most sense. Could it be the Browns trying to get another edge rusher? For me, I'm just going to stick and pick here with the Jets. You don't really know what you're going to do here because Dante Moore is off the board. What do you want to do? Just don't really know here. I do think it's a trade down spot, so I'm going to trade out of two with the Bengals, actually. Probably next year's first, next year's second. Something like this, plus a player. But Bengals move up to two, and they're going to go the best player defensively in this class in terms of the edge rusher, and that's going to be David Bailey. Yeah, it's a little bizarre because you're thinking what the hell's going to happen after this, but Jets move down, pick up a plethora of picks, just because I really don't think they need to go wide receiver without a quarterback that they can play next year, unless they get a guy on free agency. But this is without free agent predictions, so there's that. Cardinals at 3, another trade down spot really, but I think you could look at the tackles, and I'm gonna go Francis Manoa here at 3. I think he's played excellent. I think he could really go high in the draft with how he's played in the college football playoff. So for me, I'm going to put him here at number 3 overall, which is probably the highest he's been in a mock draft in a while. This is a little out there, but I think everything just got shaken up with the news of Dante Moore headed back to Oregon. You thought he was probably gone with Dylan Raiola going there, but seems like he's going to have another year, and that really affects the Jets. That really affects what's going to happen, and yeah, don't really know, but I'm going to put Francis Manoa here at 3, which is maybe a little shock to some people. Here at number 4, I'm going to go not Arvell Reese, excuse me, Ruben Main. Back to normality. I think he can play that technique that Jeffrey Simmons does opposite of him and really be effective. And then, you're looking for your true nose tackle if you want to put Jeffrey Simmons at that DN slot and then have 2 outside linebackers outside of him, which I think would be very effective. So there's that. But yeah, I think Ruben Bain, you really need help on your pass rush, and I think he certainly does that. And I think he's one of the best fits for the Titans just because that arm length means he can't play outside of the tackle, but he could definitely play inside the tackle. Again, just like Jeffrey Simmons. Here at number 5 with the Giants, first wide receiver off the board is going to be Cardinal Tate here at number 5. Just a silky smooth receiver. It's really going to help out that passing game that needs a lot of help. I mean, I don't care how good you think Jackson Dart is. You can't have a half with, I think it was like 36 passing yards or 34. So that really needs to be addressed. The Giants do need a true wide receiver other than Malik Neighbors to throw the ball to. And I think Cardinal Tate will be a big step in doing so. Kind of speed running through this here at number 6. It's going to be back-to-back receivers. Jordan Tyson is going to go here at number 6. I think it provides the Browns with something that they desperately need. Judy's not that great. Cedric Tillman's all right. Other than that, you have really no other weapons other than your tight ends, which are going to be pivotal. You don't know who the next head coach is going to be, but I think whatever head coach comes in is going to recognize that this team desperately needs a weapon, and I think that Jordan Tyson can certainly be that. Moving on to number 7, you got the Washington Commanders here. You could debate Kendrick Falk. You could debate Peter Woods. But I'm going to go Arvell Reese here. I think he can play the edge if you really want him to. Lack of reps at the edge position, but certainly someone that can play edge if he needs to, just because of his frame, around like 6'4", 235, or 243 listed here. But yeah, can certainly play on the edge if you need him to. He could certainly go this high. If not, you do need help at that linebacker position, so he's going to help out regardless of what you do. So I think that's best case scenario here if there are no edges like Bailey and Bain, who went early in this one. Here at number 8, I'm going to go with Mekhi Lemon here. I think you need a slot receiver. You got obviously your Chris Olave on the outside, who's played amazing, and then you don't really have much else for the Saints there. And I think certainly could help out. Mekhi Lemon could in that slot. My favorite receiver in this draft class, I'll say it time and time again. Just absolutely love the way he plays. You watch the game against Michigan, he was excellent. You watch that game against Oregon, he was great in too. Just really one of the best players in this class altogether. And my favorite guy, in my opinion. I'd take him top 5 if I was a GM, but I guess that's why I'm not a GM, because personal biases don't really get in their way. But Kyle Lemon should certainly be a top 10 pick, and here he goes to the Saints to be their slot receiver. Here at number 9, too, the Chiefs. I'm going to switch it up. I usually go Jeremiah Love. I'm going to go with Peter Woods this time. What if they want to help their D-line next to Chris Jones, because that group is very lackluster. You could go edge Kendrick Falk here to have a guy that can stop the run. But that Chiefs defense is great. I think Peter Woods would be a Spags guy. What if they don't like Jeremiah Love? What if they think they can find better in free agency? Maybe they get Breece Hall in free agency and don't need a running back anymore. Never really know, but there's just possibilities roaming around, and we're trying to go through every single one. So I'm not going to mock Jeremiah Love there every single mock draft. So this time it is Peter Woods at number 9. Moving on to 10 with the Jets. You could go anywhere here. You could go reach on wide receiver. Casey Concepcion wouldn't be bad if you need an explosive guy there. Other than that, there's not, um, you know, there's great players here. Don't get me wrong, and I'm gonna go Caleb Downs. I think it's just self-explanatory. You can play in the box. You need as much help as you can anywhere on that team. You could go for a corner there at 10. Maybe Jamal McCoy goes there, or Mansour Delane, but best player in the draft, you get him at 10 after trading down for 2 and getting all those assets. You look at your assets for the next 2 years, 4 first-round picks and two in this one, and then an extra second in this one. You got so much draft capital to move around with. It's absurd, and I think Caleb Downs would certainly help out your roster in the immediate. Moving on to 11 with the Miami Dolphins here. I'm going to go guard. I'm going to go Olivega Ione. I don't know how high he'll go, but I really like the prospect. I really like how he looks on tape, and I think that the Dolphins desperately need help on their offensive line as well as their receiver core. But if your top 3 guys are off the board at 11, I think this would be a good Mekhi Lemon spot, to be honest. But if he's off the board, then, you know, you got to look other ways, and I think guards are a really big need as well as corner. So you can see a Jamal McCoy, but I'm going to go Olivega Ione. See how much you can push him up. Maybe 8 or 7 could be the highest he goes. I don't think he'll crack anywhere above that, but 11 certainly the highest I've put him so far, and I don't mind that pick at all for the Dolphins. I think he'd be a very serviceable guard for them. Moving on to 11 or 12, excuse me, with the Cowboys. I think this is a great pick for them too. Sonny Styles is there. I think he's a bigger need than Jeremiah Love, and I just think he's a great player. Huge. I mean, huge linebacker, can flow around the field, can play the ball, can tackle really well. Just a great guy to get in, and you desperately needed help at that linebacker position. Eberflus did not want to play Logan Wilson when he got traded. Don't know if he's going to be their defense coordinator next year, but if he's not, or if he is, excuse me, you're going to have to look at linebacker to get a guy that he can certainly trust, and Sonny Styles is certainly that. So it's going to be my pick there at 12. 13, Rams, self-explanatory. Give me Jamal McCoy. Emmanuel Forbes at secondary has been getting torched, or got torched against the Panthers, and has done twice now. And I think you could use some help there. And I think Jamal McCoy, yes, he hasn't played this year, but has some of the best tape of any DB in this class. And I certainly think he'll be an early first-round pick with how he's played. And I think 13 at the Rams is a great landing spot for him. 14 with the Ravens. This could be a tackle that can move to guard, like a Caden Proctor. Ione is not here, and this is probably the second spot you'd consider him. I think the earliest you consider him is at 11. That's why I made that pick there. But here at 14, I'm going to go D line. I'm actually going to go Caleb Banks here. Done this pick a couple times for the Ravens when they were further down the board, but now that they're at 14, maybe it doesn't make the most sense for them. But a very solid player, powerful hands. Showed great tape in the 3 games he played this year, and then last year was just a really dominant interior defensive lineman. And I think the Ravens desperately need help there, so I think that's a great pick. Here at 15, I haven't done this in a long, long time, but I'm gonna go with Kenyon Sadiq here. I think tight end is such a big need for the Buccaneers that you could really address it early in the draft, and I think he's the clear tight end one. It's not a bad tight end class by any means. I like Trigg, I like Koziel. Um, Other than that, who else am I thinking of? I like Stowers. I don't really like Max Clare. Don't like injuries really. But Trigg, um, Koziel, Kitzelman. I even like Daquan Wright. I like. So there's a lot of guys down the board that you can find, and they'll be serviceable for you. But Kenyon Sadiq's the true number one tight end in this class, and I think could be a superstar in the league. So yeah, we'll have him go 15 to the Buccaneers. And then here at 16 with the Jets, I think this could be a very, very solid draft for you if you're able to trade down, get Caleb Downs, and then Kendrick Falk is going to be my pick there at 16. Um, just a really, really good edge that can play all 3 downs. You'd like to maximize his potential as a pass rusher. You saw it in 2024, not as much in 2025, but really good against the run. You see this run defense grade backing up what I am saying. Just yeah, great against the run, great player, consistent for Auburn. You just like him to get to the quarterback a little bit more, but you see this height, weight, arms are going to be long, and he's going to be able to play all 3 downs for you if you want. So yeah, Kendrick Falk there at number 16. 17 to the Lions. I'm going Mansour Lane. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Um, you desperately need a guy there in that corner position. That defense was just awful, especially with all the injuries that incurred for them. I think you just need to totally revamp that defense. You got an all-pro in Jack Campbell. You got one of the better edge rushers in the league in Aiden Hutchinson. You got Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, who both got injured separately. You don't know how Brian Branch is going to be next year. But, I mean, at corner, don't really got much. And I think Mansour Lane's a big step in upgrading that room, which is clearly the lackluster group of the defense, if not the interior defensive line. Um, yeah. Here at 18, Jeremiah Love's on the board for you at 18. Pull the trigger right away. You need a true bell cow. I'm sorry, but Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones are just not cutting it anymore for you. I think it's time to move on, get J.J. McCarthy another weapon, and I think Jeremiah Love's probably the best offensive weapon in this class. Potentially Jordan Tyson, but yeah, just an excellent player. Jeremiah Love is, and I think that'd be perfect if he falls down the board to you at 18. And the only other spot I can really see him go is 12 to the Cowboys, maybe 15 to the Buccaneers. There's potential there, or 16 if Brees Hall does leave the Jets. But yeah, Jeremiah Love is headed off to the Vikings in this one. Here at 19 to the Panthers. This got to be defense, and I'm going Ken McDonald. You just had an inability. Actually, no, I'm going TJ Parker. Excuse me. You just had an inability to get to Matthew Stafford in the playoff game. And I think you need an edge rusher that can get to the quarterback, but also stop the run and play all 3 downs. Need help in the secondary, but I think your big need is getting someone that can get to the quarterback. You have a very similar, need to what the Chiefs have in just getting a guy that can get to the quarterback because of your lack of pressure. And I think TJ Parker can. I think he will if he goes to Carolina, and he certainly has the frame to play all 3 downs, which I think will be valuable. Here at 20 to the Cowboys. I might go back-to-back edges here. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to go back-to-back edges here. I'm going to go Cassius Howell probably in the earliest spot I've drafted him. But here at 22, the Cowboys, just a guy that can get after it. It's really what he is. Gets after the quarterback at a high rate. 22 sacks in 2 seasons. 26 and 3. Lackluster 2024, but Just doesn't have the height or weight that you truly want from an edge rusher. You like him to be 6'4", 6'5". Even 6'3" is acceptable if you're like 260, 270 with very long arms, but Cash Howell is not going to be any of that. So it's going to be a Brian Burns situation. And, the edge class is not great after you get past David Bailey, Ruben Bain, and then Arvell Reese. Is he an edge or not? Kendrick Falk's the next best, and then TJ Parker's clearly, in my opinion, that number 4 guy, number 5 guy, depending on what you view Arvell Reese as. And then Cassius Howell is clear that he's at number 6, but maybe some teams like Gabe Jackass, who's going to be able to play all 3 downs for a team somewhere. Zion Young's not bad. Misidor's not bad either. Really rising up boards because of how he's played in the college football playoff, and he's going to be able to play edge, but he's just so old. So yeah, you really don't know what's going to happen here with the edges, but I think you get one of your good guys in Cassius Howell there at 20. Here at 21 with the Steelers, it's going to be wide receiver until it's not for me, and I'm going to go Elijah Surratt. I'm going to get him in the first round here. Been great for Indiana this college football playoff. You see the way he's graded out. 15 total touchdowns this year on 800 yards. Just been Indiana's best receiver in my opinion, and a big get for the Steelers. You need a lot of help on the outside or the inside. He can play either for you if you want. But I think Omar Cooper is probably your true slot at Indiana if you are looking for someone to play that slot position. You can see there, but great wide receiver. You need help on the outside as much as you do slot. So get your number 2 there with Elijah Surratt. Here at 22 with the Chargers. Yeah, this is going to be Emmanuel Pregnon for me. Maybe a little high for him, but I'm going to get him in the first round. Probably the biggest riser in this class after transferring from USC. Just been excellent for Oregon this year. I know they came out of the college football playoff losing to the Hoosiers, but been great. I do think Chargers really need to revamp that interior offensive line. Pregnon's a big step in doing so. And that leads me to move on to the Eagles, who I'm going to have take Colton Hood. I think you just need another corner. You need help in that secondary. You need help in a lot of places. Tight end's not a need. Dallas Carter is great. I know he's on a contract year, but he's going to come back. He loves it there in Philadelphia. You can see it. He's not going to leave. You need help at the edge too, probably. But what guy are you really going to bump up to the first round? Zion Young, maybe? Is there potential there for him to come to the first round? Is there potential for a Derek Moore to come to the first round? Don't know, but Colton Hood's certainly someone that can play opposite of Quinyon Mitchell and do a great job there. So that's going to be my pick there at 23 for the Eagles. Here at 24, though, for the Cleveland Browns, this is going to be Spencer Fano. So you really help out your defense there. Or offense, excuse me, not defense, with getting a big threat for Shador and a tackle to really block for Shador, because you don't know what that offensive line is going to look like next year with all the potential players leaving to free agency like Joel Bitonio, Ethan Pocic, Wyatt Teller potentially retiring, and then you got a lot of, those 2 guards, Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio, may retire at any minute. So you just got to revamp, and I think Spencer Fano can certainly be a step in doing so for you. Here at 25 with the Bears. The Bears, insane playoff game. Beating the Packers on, what was it? Was it two late touchdowns to win 31-27? Just an insane game. And for them, I think you need someone that can stop the run. And it's either Caden McDonald or Christian Miller. Christian Miller, in my opinion, I think is a little bit better than Caden McDonald. I just have Caden McDonald going higher because I like his frame a little bit more, in my opinion. At 6'3", 326. Christian Miller's pretty similar, though. And I'm going to bump him up. Here he goes at 25 to the Bears. Here at 26, with the Bills, I'm going to go Casey Concepcion. Denzel Boston can certainly be an option here, and that's what I'm going to do for the 49ers. So back-to-back receivers, I'll touch on both of these. I think you just need an explosive guy that can play after the catch in Buffalo. Khalil Shakir is a great slot receiver, don't get me wrong, but he's not the explosive guy that you need. And I think Concepcion can certainly do that for you. Maybe you want that deep ball threat that you can throw the ball up to, and he'll come down with it in Denzel Boston. But I think you're looking for more explosion from that offense, and I think Concepcion's certainly that explosive guy that you're looking for. Denzel Boston, though, as I just said, great jump ball target, and I think someone that Brock Purdy can just throw the ball to and he'll come down with it most of the time. You have concerns about how much he's going to get open, but with that frame, if you just throw the ball up to him, then there is a chance that he's just open altogether. So there's that. Here at 28 with the Texans, I'm going to go interior defensive line. I'm going to go Caden McDonald. I just don't like the offensive options for you. I like Lomu. I like Monroe Freeling, both. Monroe Freeling finally sneaking into the first round just because he has true tackle size. And maybe if you want your Trent Brown replacement, this is the most Trent Brown guy you will ever see, in my opinion. So there's potential for him to go there, and I wouldn't mind that at all. I really like his tape, just really powerful, really huge. You can feel his height and his weight when you watch him play. Just swings dudes around the field, um, and a really good player. But Ken McDonald really good at stopping the run. I think that Ohio State defensive line connection with Tommy Togiai is going to continue, and yeah, I think you need a guy that can be a force on the interior, and he certainly could. I just slightly prefer Christian Miller to him. Here at 29 with the Rams, you already went with Jermon McCoy, so you don't really need much. I don't think you need tackle as bad as it's saying, so maybe you go wide receiver here. Maybe you double up on corner here, or yeah, I think that's your two options. Maybe you get Chris Bellens in the first round, who has an ACL tear, so maybe the feasibility is not that high. Um, so I am just going to go give him a tackle here. I like Lomu the best. You don't know the future of Rob Havenstein, so you might as well go out and get a tackle for the future. Um, you could get Avion Terrell if you wanted to try to play a nickel, but for me, I already went corner for you, so I'm going to go somewhere else, and tackle is where I go for you. Here at 20 or 30, excuse me, with the Patriots, who are taking on my Houston Texans this weekend. Um, I think you need help at tackle or linebacker, and I think CJ Allen's a great athlete for you. I think certainly someone you can utilize and have a lot of fun with in that defense. Really be your Mike or your Will linebacker that just flies around and does a lot for you on this defense that needs a lot of athleticism, in my opinion. Not the best unit. You need a guy that can get after the quarterback, but again, is that Gabe Jackas? Is that Akeem Mesidor? Could be. Could they sneak into the first round? Certainly. Don't get me wrong. So, yeah, there's that. Here at 31 with the Broncos, I think you're mad that C.J. Allen just got picked because I think you probably would have gone linebacker here. And does Jonah Coleman sneak into the first round? No, in my opinion. I think this could be a team that wants to move back into the first round and get one of those guys that they desperately need. So I'm going to trade out of this pick if I'm the Denver Broncos. And who am I going to trade out of it with? It's going to be the Lions. I think the Lions would have to give up. Where are they? 50, a 2, a 3, and like a weapon, probably. Um, hmm. Maybe something like Levi Onwuzurike or a Josh Pascal, something like that, just to help them out a little bit in the rotation game. But yeah, we'll just do this for now, and we'll force this trade. I think it's great for the Lions because you're able to go out get Monroe Freeling to really help out your offensive line unit, which you desperately need help with. And you're picking at 31. And if you came into the season saying the Lions were picking at 31, I would have not called it crazy at all. I would have just been like, oh, they made the Super Bowl. But no, they didn't even make the playoffs, and they have to trade back up to 31 in this hypothetical. Here at 32 with the Seahawks, I'm going to go Keith Abney. I'm going to get into the first round to close out this draft. I think, you could just use help on that boundary a little bit. I think that's your one thing on the defense that needs a little bit of excuse me, and I think Keith Abney is a great player. So, yeah, pretty quick, but this is my entire first round mock draft. Let me know what y'all think. Do you agree with what I did with your team or not? For example, the Bengals or the Jets. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and as always, it's Texans Takeover, and I'm out. Peace.